So the game I'm playing today is called A Slower Speed of Light. This was developed by a group of people working at MIT Game Labs. I had no idea MIT even developed video games, that's completely new information to me. But this was an early prototype that has been out for quite some time now. This originally came out in 2012, and it's a very early prototype that is supposed to simulate the effects of traveling near the speed of light, not directly at it, because that's physically impossible in the real world. Now, there isn't that much to this game. As a matter of fact, there's only one level, and it can be beaten in less than 5 minutes. But this was not really meant to be a game at all. This was meant to be more of an educational tool, kind of like 4D Toys. But it was still pretty cool, and it was actually something that I discovered a really long time ago. As a matter of fact, I think I discovered this shortly after it came out. Well, if you consider like maybe almost a year to be a short amount of time. There's 2 different builds that exist of this game. The original prototype came out in the summer of 2012, but I'm playing a slightly more recent build, which came out in March of 2013. I'm not really sure what the differences are between the 2 different versions. I'm assuming that maybe this one has more content. Well, it doesn't have more content because I already played it off screen. I don't really know what's different in this particular version of the game. Now, I need to warn you guys about something before I get to playing this. If you are prone to seizures, like if you have epilepsy or a history of epilepsy, you might not want to watch this video because some of the visual effects that ensue in this game can be very hard on the eyes. They're very eye-straining, and they also involve a lot of rapidly flashing colors. So you might just want to avoid watching this video if you suffer from those kinds of symptoms. And also, if you're easily prone to motion sickness, because some of the other effects also include the screen bending and contorting in very unnatural ways. So if you're very prone to any of those symptoms, I would not recommend watching this video. Just go watch something that's a little bit easier on the eyes. But I'll just go and play it here really quickly. This is probably going to be a really short video because there's not a whole lot to this game in the slightest. I was just going to feature this in one of my randomizer videos. I just decided to give it its own video instead, though, because I wanted to. No particular reason other than that, so we'll just go and play this here then in that case. Now, this game does have a bit of a plot, if you could even call it that. Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there was a little child. Sadly, the little child fell into death's icy grip far too soon. The little child's spirit began the journey to become one with light. But the speed of light was too fast for the small and clumsy little spirit. Luckily, the spirit world is full of magical orbs that slow down light. Collect orbs to slow down light to walking speed so you can finally move on. See how many orbs you collected, compare your own speed to the speed of light. As light gets slower, you'll start to see beyond what humans can typically see. W, A, S, and D keys to move. I think the arrow keys may also work as well. Look around with the mouse and press escape to bring up the options menu. And that's all you really need to know about how the game works, so now we're gonna go and actually dive right into the action here and just wait for this to load while my computer makes an overabundance of noise. So here we are in the game right here. So the controls are very slidey. You just kind of slide around like you're skating on ice, and I don't really like it all that much because it makes it really difficult to control. As you can see, we have all these orbs scattered around the place right here, and we can pick these up in order to slow down the speed of light so that the effects of special relativity can become more visible. So there's this little meter at the bottom of the screen down here that shows basically which wavelengths of light you can see. You can see that there's visible light, which is the normal type of light we can see. There's also infrared and ultraviolet, which humans cannot normally see, but as we slow down time here, those forms of light will actually become visible. So this game is supposed to simulate all sorts of effects pertaining to special relativity, including like the red shifting and blue shifting of light, depending on I believe depending on travel. This is, for the record, this is not a subject that I'm really that familiar with. I mean, if you guys have ever seen any of my videos before, you will know that I am a really huge science nerd, but this kind of stuff is not really within my realm of understanding because I'm not you know, I don't work at MIT, or I'm not a scientist or anything, so my knowledge of these subjects is actually very minimal, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Like, my knowledge is based off of stuff that I've read, like, over the past decade at least, because I've been reading up about this stuff ever since I was, like, really young. At a really young age, I begun diving into the whole world of, well, science, this kind of stuff right here. So, as you can see, we're collecting all sorts of orbs, and the effects are becoming a lot more noticeable. As you can see, this is, I think this is supposed to be infrared light. Yeah, by the way, the collision detection is also kind of wonky in this game. Sometimes you can get stuck on certain objects by just running into them. And as you can see, when we're moving around, all the colors change, and they become extremely trippy. But this is supposed to simulate what you would see if you were traveling close to the speed of light. You get to see colors and all sorts of wavelengths that you wouldn't normally be able to see. And like I said, it's not possible to travel at exactly the speed of light. That is physically impossible within our physical realm. Maybe in a video game it would be, but this is just meant to, you know, show you the effects. Essentially what you would see, and basically the effects of traveling near the speed of light is equivalent to what you'd see during a really bad acid trip, pretty much. So that's what's going on right here. As you can see, we're seeing a lot of infrared light right now because the meter on the infrared scale is just completely full. Also, my computer CPU is getting, like, destroyed by this game right now. Holy crap. But it should be okay. Also, there's this really weird effect if you go backwards. You can see the infrared light, but everything else becomes black for some reason. Don't really understand what's going on there. And also, because of the way light travels, sometimes you can also see objects in the past. Because you do need to understand that light does not travel instantaneously. There is a specific speed at which light travels, which is approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. That's not the exact speed, but it's close to that, and that's usually what most people approximate it to. Like, you notice how when you look up at the stars at night, well, technically you're not seeing the stars as they are currently. You're actually looking at those stars in the past. Because the way light works is that, because it's not instantaneous, it does take time for it to actually reach us. Like, for instance, with the sun, even though, you know, the sun is considered to be relatively close to us, it's actually extremely far away. It's like 150 million kilometers away. And because light does not travel at an infinite speed, it does take some time to reach us. And I think I'm actually going to skip the last orb here for just a little bit, so I can explain the rest of this to you guys. Actually, where even is the last orb? I don't even see it anywhere. But yeah, so oh wait, it's over there. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it alone for now, just so you guys can appreciate the wonky effects that that ensue when you get near the speed of light, as you can see. And oh god, okay, that's kind of creepy actually, because when I look behind myself, yeah, everything looks so much darker. Well, I do think that is one of the effects that it is supposed to simulate. Like, if you're moving towards photons, then that means the objects are going to be a lot brighter, and if you're moving away from them, they're going to basically be black. That's pretty much how that works. I don't remember the names of all of the effects that pertain to special relativity. I do know there is the Lorentz transformation, which is supposed to simulate, like, basically the entire world or like space moving around you, kind of like bending, like gravitational bending or gravitational lensing, kind of like similar to the effects that black holes produce. And okay, wait, can I just... Okay, that's kind of weird. It seems like the controls are a little bit delayed, because when I let go of the W, A, S, and D keys... Oh no, the arrow keys don't work at all, actually. Okay, never mind, I'm stupid. Yeah, but it seems like when I let go of the W key in particular, it doesn't stop me immediately, so it seems like the controls are maybe just a little bit delayed. I mean, that's not really that big of an issue. But as I was saying, because I completely went off topic there, but Pertaining to the sun in particular, you know, the sun is still hundreds of millions of kilometers away, not miles. Holy crap, I'm just doing a really bad job at explaining this, aren't I? But light doesn't travel instantly, so it takes a little while for the sun's light to reach Earth. It takes about 8 minutes, so let's say if the sun were to suddenly explode, well, from Earth, you wouldn't be able to see the sun blowing up instantaneously. Because of the sun's distance from Earth, it would actually take the light about 8 minutes to reach us, so you would only notice the sun exploding about 8 minutes after it had actually blown up. And that's the same thing with a lot of stars that you see in the night sky. If one of those stars were to suddenly explode into a supernova, you wouldn't see it instantly. As a matter of fact, it would probably take years in some cases before you would actually notice it. And another example is like if that star were to just suddenly disappear for seemingly no reason, again, it would actually take years before it would actually disappear out of our night sky. Most of the stars that appear in our night sky are really far away from Earth, much farther away than the sun. These stars are like trillions of kilometers away, and because there's a certain speed at which light travels, you know, it's not going to reach Earth instantly, so it takes a few years. And for the record, 300,000 kilometers per second is about a little over 1 billion kilometers, so it's going to take a little while. It has to travel trillions of kilometers, so it's not going to get there in just a moment's notice. It's going to take a really long time. The light of some stars in our galaxy take like hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years to reach Earth. That's literally how far away they are, because some of them are even like quadrillions or even quintillions of kilometers away from us. And that's pretty much what you see with every single object within our universe. Like, even everyday objects that you see in your own home, technically you're viewing those objects like a fraction of a second in the past, but because they're so close to you, it's more like nanoseconds, pretty much, so it's so insignificant, like the time difference is so insignificant that you don't notice it, but because light does not travel at infinite speeds, you know, it does take a little bit of time to reach you, so technically everything in your universe, like everything you see in the universe, you're actually seeing it as it appeared in the past. Wow, okay, these effects are just getting really strange. I think this is the infrared effect right here, isn't it? Yeah, everything is just becoming dark. I see shadows of silhouettes. That's really cool though, because all the mushrooms are lighting up and it looks so trippy. Oh god, did I get stuck? Okay, no, I didn't get stuck. I am okay. I am very much okay. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of these guys are not really animating that much, but then again, I don't really expect them to. I know, I think you can kind of tell that this game was not really made in, like it was made in probably a short amount of time. I do believe the effects right here, this was actually created using a custom plugin that the developers created, and I do believe it is open source, so I think you can download this plugin and you could even use it in like your own game in order to, yeah, simulate the trippy effects of special relativity. Anyway, I've just been talking for a really long time, so how about I just go and collect all the orbs? So now, all the colors are going to become disabled, and now you can really see the effects of the Lorentz transformation right here. So as we move towards the speed of light, as you can see, everything just becomes extremely, yeah, extremely warped. And it gets even harder to control your character, because at this point you can barely even control it. I mean, look at this, for goodness sakes. It's like I can't exactly tell where I'm going either, because everything is just warping so much. I'm just glitching out on every single object that I crash into. So it's really hard to control under these circumstances. I do believe this white gate right here, you just pass through it in order to end the level. And that's the whole game, guys. The end. Yeah, that's the only level. You're just kind of messing around in just one level in particular, just kind of running around the whole place, or floating around. Oh yeah, also, this is another one of these Unity games where the cursor is not locked into the window, and I really despise that, because I don't understand why so many Unity games have this issue. So, your time, 10 minutes and 45 seconds, world time, 11 minutes and 49 seconds. So, basically what this means is that this is the time that you perceived, but this was the actual amount of time that passed in the game world because you were traveling close to the speed of light. Because your perception of time also gets warped as well. Like, when you're traveling near the speed of light, time seemingly slows down when you're at that speed. The way you perceive time would be different, like if you're traveling at the speed of light, than someone who's just standing still, for instance. So, it's a really weird effect. There is more information about this in the What Happened section right here. Here's a quote from Albert Einstein, who actually proposed special relativity. In a slower speed of light, the speed of light slows down with every orb you pick up. It's impossible for you to reach the speed of light, but certain relativistic effects become more visible as you get very close. Light behaves like a wave, and different wavelengths appear as different colors. As you and other objects move around, the wavelength of light changes, appearing redder or bluer to your eyes. Some light becomes infrared or ultraviolet, which your eyes cannot usually see, and other invisible sources of light will become visible. So there's infrared and there's ultraviolet, which do actually become visible when you're traveling close to the speed of light. Moving left, the objects on the left are brighter than the objects on the right, so this is where this is called the searchlight effect. Light also behaves like a stream of particles called photons. When you run towards a stream of photons, more photons hit you and the object becomes brighter. This effect is also known as relativistic aberration. I also like the little little sketches down at the bottom too. As a matter of fact, there's this funny one right here. It says, "How can time and space stretch? It seems so unreal." And then there's just this guy that's yelling science. It's all about science. Science is an explanation for literally everything. Light always moves at the same speed, so if the speed of light is constant, then the distances and times in the world around you have to warp. Your time is different from the time in the world, time dilation, and your distances are different from the distances in the world, which is the Lorentz transformation. And also, as you can see, everything just kind of like bends because of Lorentz transformation. I'm pretty sure that's the cause of it. Again, don't quote me on this because my knowledge of this particular subject is minimal, and I don't know for sure. And I have nothing wrong with being proven wrong. You have to be much closer to the speed of light to notice the more dramatic effects of Lorentz transformation compared to the Doppler and searchlight effects. At the end of the game, the Doppler and searchlight effects are removed to make the Lorentz transformation easier for you to see. And then the runtime effect. Normally light is extremely fast, but it still takes time for photons to reach our eyes. When you look at anything, you're actually observing incoming light from some time in the past, which I was explaining earlier in the video, very poorly because I was getting distracted by the acid trip I was having. The further you look into space, the further you look into history. This is easily noticeable when you look at objects moving relative to yourself. Objects normally beyond your field of view can become visible when you move near the speed of light, as you see them as they were in the past. And then these are just the sources, the different acknowledgements. Yeah, basically I guess the sources they used in order to create this extremely trippy game. And that's it, guys. After that, you just get sent back to the main menu. A slower speed of light. This is the credits. So I guess these are all the people who made this, who worked on this game and made it possible. Yeah, copyright 2012, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's MIT. I had no idea they made video games, but I know that now. I mean, I have been aware of this game's existence for quite a few years. I just didn't know who developed this game, but apparently it was MIT, and I was really surprised to see that. So, yeah, that's a slower speed of light, guys. Just a really cool little game that's supposed to simulate the effects of moving close to the speed of light. Not exactly, okay? Because, like I said, it's physically impossible. A more accurate approximation would be like 99.99999% the speed of light, or just 99.9 repeating percent. The only physical object in our universe that can travel at the speed of light is light itself. So, if you want to download this game and mess around with it for yourself, I will provide the link in the description. It is still possible to download this game from MIT's Game Lab website, even to this day. Both builds are available. You can try out the old summer 2012 build, which I guess you could consider the alpha build, considering the most recent one, which came out in 2013, is considered the official beta. Even though this game did not progress in development beyond this point, Because that's what I was kind of disappointed about, because I had not been tracking the development of this game for a really long time. In fact, I pretty much hadn't been tracking it at all, and when I thought about this game again, because I saw a video on YouTube earlier today that actually reminded me of this game. It reminded me that this game was real, because I had forgotten it was for a really long time. And I thought, well, it's been at least 4 years since I've heard anything about this, so I wanted to go back and check and see if maybe this was turned into a fully fledged product, and unfortunately it wasn't. I don't think this was ever going to be made into a full game anyway, but it would have been pretty cool to see. I mean, I would have liked it if there were some more levels, but then again, there isn't really a challenge to the game anyway, aside from navigating the village while you're having the hardest acid trip known to mankind. So that's the only real challenge there. And I guess another challenge is not trying to vomit or have a seizure in the process. I have nothing more to say other than that, guys. It's just a really cool representation of, well, our physical world, essentially. This is this kind of stuff I love, because you guys know that I'm a really huge science nerd, and I just absolutely adore stuff like this. Links in the description if you want to try it out. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video I make. Later!